So it's the dead of winter right now here in Michigan, and what better way to spend your time in the middle of the winter but to, curl up and watch some movies indoors.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd sit down and talk about some of our favorite movies to watch in the dead of winter. So we're just going to go through a few, but Dennis, why don't you start us off? What do you like to watch when it's this cold outside?
The movie, see, it's kind of a weird thing where sometimes it's good to watch like a warm summer movie and be reminded of the warm summer times.
Yeah.
But when it's this cold, it's like, I want to watch something where I think the people are colder than me, so I can
too.
feel a little bit warm.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any colder movie out there than Fargo.
Oh, yeah.
That movie, just everything about it, like when you hear about like how bad the Minnesota and Wisconsin winters are,
Yeah.
like that movie epitomizes it.
It really
and
does.
it's just a great movie too.
One of my favorites from the Coen brothers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a good, kind of like, it's not really a mystery, but it's a suspense thriller. Like you want to know what's going on with this kidnapping and
Yeah.
all the stuff going on at home. It's just every time someone's outside, you're just like, oh, it's so much warmer indoors.
And their accents are just entertaining in themselves. All the
Oh.
actors do such a great job.
Yeah,
with
and
the
that's
accents.
another reason why Fargo is a standout to me, where like the location, the culture around that location is a character in and of itself.
Yeah,
So I just think that it's fully fleshed out. One of the best movies to watch, and yeah, I feel warm when I watch it because it's so cold on the screen.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, my guarantee is probably something that makes me feel so cold, and that is The Thing. The
Yeah,
Thing
that's up
is
there.
a cold movie. It's a terrifying movie where the special effects still hold up today. And just to be clear, it's John Carpenter's The Thing. It's one of my
Right.
personal favorites. But yeah, it's just set in the Arctic where they are just stuck in a small area with a shape-shifting alien, and it is very tense, very claustrophobic, and freezing cold the entire time. And I just have a blast with that movie every time. I think it's one of my favorites of John Carpenter.
Oh yeah, it's up there. And even like when they're indoors, it's still cold sometimes.
You can see their
just 'cause-
breath no matter what.
Yeah, there's like a few scenes where it's like, oh hey, they finally have their coats off and they look comfortable.
Yeah.
But most of the time,
They're
it's
all
just,
like long johns
Oh,
and stuff. Their
yeah.
icicles on their beards and everything. Yeah, but what about something a little bit more lighthearted?
This one, it's kind of well known, but it kind of got swept over just because it's like a good comedy, but it wasn't like really a standout comedy. But I really enjoy Mystery Alaska.
Oh yeah, I watched that so long ago.
Oh
Mystery
yeah,
Alaska.
yeah, about the hockey team in Alaska when the I can't remember which NHL team comes up to play them and
Yeah.
everything. It becomes this
Russell
big,
Crowe, right?
Yeah, with Russell Crowe, and
Yeah.
it's this big televised event. And just like it's one of those stories where it's like you take this small quaint town, have something big happen to them, then just watch the reactions. I think it's very funny, very heartfelt, and it's one of the better sports movies. But definitely one of the better hockey movies.
I
out
need to
there.
revisit that one. I remember my friend back in like middle school was like, I really want to watch Mystery Alaska, and I was like, what is this movie? And I watched it. I remember being okay with it, but I think it's one to revisit.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
Yeah. Well, for mine, lighthearted, I think not a lot of people really like this movie, but I was crazy about it in high school, and I watch it almost every winter because I still think it's funny, and that's Out Cold. I just think this movie's goofy, incredibly dated when it comes to just like the pop culture
Oh,
things
for
around
sure.
that time, especially with the pop culture of like snowboarding around it back in the
Oh, yeah,
early
this
2000s
is like X
and
Games
stuff.
movie for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. So it's got all the pop punk hits and everything in that movie too, and it's one of Zach Galifianakis' first roles, and he's still very funny in it. So personally, I think that you should check out Out Cold if you haven't, because it's just a fun, really turn your brain off type of comedy movie.
Yeah, just like Mystery Alaska, not a standout comedy that you're going to remember for years and years, but it's a good time, and it's it's fitting with the winter setting and everything. And there are some good moments in it, but there are some like roll your eye kind of
Just
dumb
like, give me
moments.
a break,
But
yeah.
overall, it's a fun watch.
It is a fun watch. But what about like a lesser known movie that maybe audiences haven't seen that probably should check out in the wintertime?
Yeah, a friend actually showed me this movie. It's quite a while ago. This movie's about 15 years old now, and it's called Winter Passing. It stars Will Ferrell, Zooey Deschanel, and Ed Harris. And Zooey Deschanel plays this actress who's like kind of hit a rut in her career, and so she goes home to Michigan, which is why I like it. It's set in our state of Michigan.
Yeah.
And her father is Ed Harris, who's like this reclusive kind of writer, and Will Ferrell plays like his caretaker.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a good comedy drama. It's Will Ferrell in one of his like first more serious dramatic roles, and I think he does a fantastic job. And just this movie is just another reason why it's just like Ed Harris. Why don't people talk about Ed Harris more?
Yeah, he's
like in the
really great.
pantheon of like great all-time actors.
Yeah, I've never seen or maybe even heard of that movie before.
Oh, yeah,
actually, I'm gonna check that one.
Yeah,
out
I think
for
you
sure.
should.
Is this before or after Elf? Zooey Deschanel and
I
Will
think
Ferrell?
it was like right after Elf.
Okay, so yeah, just a little indie film.
Right,
Nice.
but like within a year of one another.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for me, I think that one that a lot of people don't know, but it is on Netflix available, and the sequel is as well, and that's Dead Snow. And this movie's
Oh,
just
yeah.
a romp. This
Love
is,
me some Dead Snow.
Yeah, so it's just a bunch of, 20-something-year-olds that go up to a cabin to get drunk and have fun, and Nazi zombies rise.
zombies.
Nazi zombies rise from the dead, and gore and horror ensues, and it is a comedy as well. It's a comedy horror movie, but it's also incredibly cold through the whole thing. Obviously, it's called Dead Snow. But I really like this movie. It is foreign. It is subtitled. I think is it German?
No, I think it's Norwegian.
Norwegian, yeah.
There you
So, but I think this movie's fun. I think it's really fun.
Oh yeah, this movie's a real blast. It's one of those things where it's like, how do you make the zombie genre that's been done over and over again feel fresh and invigorating? Make them Nazis, and there's plenty of like jokes about World War II and just like the everything about them, their clothes, the whole culture of Nazism, all that stuff. They make plenty of jokes about it, and the comedy works with the horror and gore.
Buffs. All right, so those are a few of the movies that we like to watch in the dead of winter. What do you guys like to watch when it's this cold outside? Leave all your comments down below.
And be sure to join us later in the year once the weather breaks. We'll talk about what we like to watch in the spring, summer movies, when the colors turn back in the fall. So we'll bring you more of these episodes in the future. But until then, don't forget,
there's no place like the theater.